Good evening, everyone. It's on or about 6:30 p.m. I will call this meeting to order by recognizing the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation. With a formal territorial acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge that the municipality of Brighton is located on the Mississauga and Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga. The Council of the Municipality of Brighton respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. I'm also pleased to note that with the lifting of public health protocols, we are able to invite the public back in person to these meetings. For now, these meetings will take place at the King Edward Park Community Centre for the month of March, with our hope that they will return to regular council chambers in April. I will remind everyone in the public, I will remind the one person in the public gallery that mask wearing and physical distancing, you won't have a problem with physical distancing, are still required while attending municipal council meetings in person. We will continue to use various formats for meeting participation, with some participants attending virtually. We will also continue to invite the public to join us by viewing this meeting live on the Municipality of Brighton YouTube channel, or you may attend virtually through the Zoom link if you contact the clerk's office in advance. To move to the approval of the agenda, we will be making a minor adjustment to the agenda with a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that Council amend the agenda to move item 9.6 to 9.1, and that's to accommodate a member of staff. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. A motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that Council approve the March 7th, 2022 Council agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? And if so, please state the general nature thereof. There are none noted. Are there any announcements this evening? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not really an announcement, but I noticed when I was out and about today that several establishments in Brighton have jars for Mason, an initiative by the Lions Club. I know the deputy mayor and I were we saw what was going on at last year's Apple Fest for that. So I think that it's just a good just awareness statement that I would like to make for the folks in the community to support this cause for Mason. Wondering there again, if I may ask, I don't know what policies the municipality has in place, but are we able to have Mason jars in our facilities?
Can you give me a little more background on this?
Mason is a young man. I don't have everything, who's been afflicted with a very rare disease, who requires a lot of retrofit in his home. Lots of dollars involved with that, as far as ramps, certain wheelchairs. There's a lot of money that his family needs to invest into giving him what he needs. So I would just, I know there is an article out and about. I did read it today, but I just don't have it in front of me to pull it up at this stage.
And this is a fundraiser being conducted by the
Lions Club. Yes.
Madam Clerk, are you aware of policies that would prevent us from doing something like that?
I am not, but I can find out and I can let you know tomorrow.
And perhaps we'll reach, if you don't mind, would you reach out to the library as well to ask that question of them? Because if it's at 35 Alice, it should be at both doors if we can get it at both doors.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tadman, you had an announcement.
I was wondering, the poor gentleman there has to sit with the mask and there's nobody within, wouldn't it be kind if we told him if he chose to, he could take it off?
It would be kind, but it would also violate the current public health protocols. I know it's ridiculous that we're all allowed to do this and he can't, but I don't think it would be wise of us to go down that road.
Well, that's done.
I know.
But anyways, on a better note, I just want, oh, go ahead.
I believe in our protocol, it says while he's seated, he can take off his mask.
Is that
If
right?
he gets up to leave, to move to another area, he has to put his mask on. But while he's seated, he can take off his mask.
There you go. If you're comfortable and you wish to take off your mask while you're seated, you may do so, sir. If you get up to move around for any reason, you have to put your mask back on. Okay, all right. Thank you.
And just further to that, on a cheery note, I have a pair of robins, which is exciting after this winter, and one of my lilacs is budding. So what better announcements than that?
Yesterday brought us all false spring. Even the robins think so.
Yeah.
Any other announcements? Councillor LeBlanc.
To add to Councillor Emily Rowley's, on that thing, they had fundraisers and auctions, which some of us councillors participated in. We went there. One of the things that they asked, I think I approached you with this, Mayor, is they asked that when they build the building for the young gentleman that it has to be built on the street, they were looking, and I talked to the planner, Paul Walsh, about this because they approached me to see if the building fees and stuff could be waived, because at that time they needed 127,000 and they had raised 95,000. But waiving those fields would allow them to start building earlier. So I know it's not announced in another place, but I know I talked to you and I talked to the thing. It's one of the things that I told them to come to council to bring that forward. They should.
Would be appropriate for them to come to council and
Yeah.
provide us with correspondence as well, so
Yeah.
we could determine whether that would be appropriate. Councillor Rowley?
For anyone who wants the information, it's on Brighton Today. They've got a piece there done by Jordan Mercier.
Thank you. That's 100.9's Brighton Today, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
Thank you.
oldies, yeah.
Any other announcements? Takes us to adoption of the minutes. So with the motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, the council adopt the February 22nd, 2022 council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Councillor Bateman.
Just under number 4, Councillor LeBlanc had announced that I was selected to be chair, but it's actually vice chair of Lower Trent. Just I don't want to upset anybody at Lower Trent.
Understood. So we should probably pass these as amended then. Is that okay with everybody? Councillor Rowley, you okay with that as the mover? Councillor LeBlanc as the seconder? Any further discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. We have no statutory public meeting this evening. We have no delegations before us. Madam Clerk, are you aware of anyone joining us for citizens' comment? That takes us to staff reports. Our first report is with regard to the 2021 annual and summary drinking water system report. Ms. Russell, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to council, I don't have anything to add, and I would welcome any questions from council members at this time.
Thank you for that. The motion before me reads, pardon me, the motion before me is moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that members of council receive staff report dated March 2nd, 2022, being a report for information on 2021 annual Brighton Springs drinking water system report. Is there any discussion? Councillor LeBlanc.
Yes, you Chair, a few questions. Since it falls under the Drinking Water Act that was brought in by Walkerton, and since councillors are accountable with huge fines and jail sentences, and I would like to just be comfortable on a few a few questions on the report. What do you call the report? Groundwater, raw water. In your statement here on the first, the facility is designed for groundwater, raw water supply, but then the rest of the terms you call it groundwater. Is it groundwater, raw water, or is it groundwater?
Ms. Russell.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, Amy, your microphone's gone off.
Sorry about
There you
that.
go.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. There are several different types of raw water supplies for municipal drinking water systems. In our case here in Brighton, it's a groundwater supply, not to be confused with a goody well.
Correct.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
So are you going to change it from groundwater, raw water to just groundwater?
But through you, Mr. Mayor, it is a groundwater, raw water supply.
So it's contaminated?
No, it's a true groundwater. When we,
Sorry, Ms. Russell, I think we need to get.
am I working now? That would be the correct terminology.
So it should be continuous through the report.
The reference to groundwater
Raw
supply,
water.
For the raw water supply, yes,
So it should be continuous throughout the report.
yes.
Okay, it is not.
Okay.
I think Councillor Blanc is concerned that at some point it says groundwater, raw water, and at some point it just uses one or the other term rather than both. Is that still a consistency? I think that's the question.
The intent behind it is that it's a groundwater supply. So I'm happy to make amendments to the report.
Thank you.
Okay.
The other question I have is your monitoring wells. We have our 3 wells, and then you have sentry wells. You say that you're looking for hydraulic gradient. When you're using hydraulic gradient, are you meaning cone of depression, recovery rates, or are you using for the direction the groundwater is flowing?
In terms of the hydraulic gradient, through our fail-safe control report, we are required to monitor the groundwater levels in the aquifer, and that's what I'm referring to in the report.
Yeah, so it would be used to measure a cone of depression, not groundwater flow.
Not
direction,
groundwater flow, correct?
or gradient going away from the well. So it'd be towards the well.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, Councillor.
So the terminology, just to be thing, because if somebody reads this, I want the terminology to be right. You have 3 sentry wells. So when you pump your well pump pumps, it drops the groundwater level. Your sentry wells will tell you your cone of depression, how far you are drawing down the water, and your systemic recovery rate, which you can use further on in life to say, we're having problems with our aquifer or not, and you would use that data for that. When you say that the wells are used for a hydraulic gradient, that means it's flowing away from the well, not towards the well. They're 2 different terminologies.
Where exactly in the report are you referring to? Is it on the first page?
Yes.
This is terminology.
Monitoring, the purpose for monitoring hydraulic gradient. Then you say the observation wells, which should be called
What page are you on, Doug?
the first page, page number 2.
So that would be page number 2, the second page, as we call it. And how far down are you?
I'm still in the first paragraph. After the facility, just write down. Then the next sentence, it says they're observation wells. That is correct. They're monitoring well, observation wells for cone depression, recovery rates, and what your drawdown is. Not necessarily for gradient.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is terminology that I pulled from last year's report. So if there are concerns with the way it's worded, I'm happy to make adjustments.
Thank you.
Only if those adjustments are warranted through
Certainly.
appropriate channels, not just because one member of council is objecting to them.
Certainly.
Yeah.
If, through you, Mayor, if you feel that it's not warranted, if they want to bring a wastewater or water plant expert here with wells and bring him here, I'll gladly pose the same questions and we'll have that debate with him.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary, Doug. Pardon me, Councillor LeBlanc. I think what we're doing is making sure that the report that's being provided to the ministry is appropriately vetted through council. And, council hires professional experts to make sure that that information is vetted. I appreciate that you are also well versed in this information. It would have been my hope that you would have reached out to staff to let them know what questions you had for them so that they could come prepared. But if you'd like to continue on.
I did, but the phone lines were full. I couldn't leave a message.
Well, I can't speak to that, but I'm sure the email lines were not.
Yeah, my emails isn't the best. When you call chlorination a treatment process,
Could you tell us where you are in the report, please?
I'm still on the same page, the second paragraph down.
Okay.
Second paragraph down, when you call chlorination a treatment process, is it a disinfection process?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it is.
Yes, because when I look at a treatment process, I'm looking at flocculation, sedimentation, iron removal, hardness removal.
Your question was answered. You have
Okay.
another question?
So that'll be changed then. Thank you. Then when we go through the report, I'm going to go to the sampling. That's what I find your sampling here. Which is going to be on page. You got it back there again. Anyway. The report is all right here. On page number 11, where do you see the range of the results for PHC results, minimum and maximum, less than 10% or greater than 30, not 10%, but units. But when you look at the results, you're at 52.
Councillor LeBlanc, I'm on page 11 and I don't see what you're talking about.
Huh?
I'm on page 11 and I don't see what you're talking about.
The graph right here.
No, there's no graph on.
49, I think.
Well, no, I need the page number of the report. I'm not on my paper copies.
It says page 11 on one, page 11 of 49. Page 4. I don't see page 4. Page 4.
At the top, underneath the logo, it says microbiological testing completed in accordance with Schedule 10, 11, or 12, et
That's
cetera, et
correct.
cetera. That's correct. That's page 4 of the report. Carry on, Councillor LeBlanc. Thank you.
Thank you. So when the range says, which is the range that it should be, minus 10 to 30, we have 52 on the plate count. Are we in exceedance?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the way the table is set up, we are required to sample and test for total coliform, E. coli, and heterotrophic plate count on our treated water supply. The number in the first column signifies the number of E. coli and total coliform samples that we took. The third column represents the number of HPC samples that we collected throughout the reporting period. And the range of the HPC results are between less than 10 and 30 for the year.
Mhm. So we have detection. Are we within the standard with the detection?
The number 52 doesn't refer to a detection. That's just the number of samples that we collected throughout the reporting period.
Okay. But then when we see the less than or the 30, that's your results. Are we within the range?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from members of council? Councillor Rowley?
Thank you, Mayor. Just on the page before that, page 3, and this is maybe just something that I need clarified. McLean Road is a rural road, correct? And yet we have a water main there.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, Councillor Rowley, I can't see you. Yes, we have a fairly long service on McLean Road, and it services one property. So it was leaking this fall, and we had to replace it.
Thank you. Anything else from members of council? Go ahead, Councillor LeBlanc.
I have one more question. Through you, Mayor. It has to do with licensing. Since we've lost both of our senior operators and one is retiring, they're both retiring.
They both retired.
Both retired. Yeah, I mean, they're both retired. As ORO and as under the water resources side, do we have the people with the sufficient license to operate those facilities now?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we currently have people licensed to operate the facilities and act as the ORO.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from members of council? All in favor of the motion? Being none opposed, that motion is carried. Now, I understand, Ms. Russell, you have a birthday party to get to. Take care. Good evening. It's Ms. Russell's son's birthday today.
Oh, sorry. Huh?
Drive safely home. That takes us to Parks and Recreation, Community Center Flat Roof Tender. Mr. Miller, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir? Your microphone's gone off. So all the work required on the roof is covered through this amount. Thank you very much. And so for the record, the full Ontario Trillium Foundation grant is $410,000, not $400,000. Thank you, Mr. Miller. I have a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that council accepts the report from the Director of Parks and Recreation and awards the Community Center Flat Roof Replacement Tender number REC 2022-03 to Defoe Roofing of Belleville, Ontario, for the total bid price before HST of $342,133. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. And I don't have my budget book in front of me, Jim, and maybe if you can't answer, that's okay. Maybe you can just send me an email or send us an email. Because this is now all looked after, but we had some significant items, I believe, in the budget as well, right? Like chillers and stuff. Does that affect any of these kind of things, or is that all looked after? That's still going to be just the way it is.
Mr. Miller?
Yeah, they were separate, but that won't affect anything because we didn't calculate any of these dollars in the budget, did we, for this roof?
This is considered in the budget.
Okay, so now we can. Right, so now we can use those, take those monies back. Were they tax supported dollars or were they just from reserves? Okay.
Were they from reserves?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Director Whitfield, are you able to comment on that?
Hi, good evening. So I'm understanding that we're looking at a project for the roof right now, and the total bid was $342,000 plus HST.
That's
and
correct.
And that's all covered under the Trillium grant.
Right. The question was, this was budgeted for, although we haven't passed the budget, but this is this was budgeted for, and during our budget considerations, where would this money have come from had we not received the OTF, I think is the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, this project would have had to be reassessed at that point and another report brought forward to council. But the good news is we did get the funding, and so we didn't have to do that.
So
We would have had to pull from reserves.
Okay, there you go. We would have had to pull from reserves. So in the budget, it's through grant monies. That's what we've budgeted for. Is that correct?
And that is correct.
Thank you.
So it makes no changes. to
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, did you have a question? Councillor LeBlanc?
Question was answered.
Thank you. Anyone on this side? All those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Our next report is with regard to civil marriage ceremonies. Madam Clerk, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, I do not.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Rowley. The council received the staff report regarding civil marriage ceremonies, and the council passed a bylaw to approve the clerk and delegates to perform civil marriages. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you. I believe in 2016, did we not have some kind of a bylaw at that particular time that we offered civil marriage ceremonies? I believe at that time, the deputy clerk of the day was
Doesn't matter.
licensed to do that.
Yeah.
So does this make that redundant and this just starts over now?
Madam Clerk?
Yeah, because the bylaw mentioned Vicky Kement in the bylaw, it was only for her. It wasn't for the clerk's department. It was just for her.
Oh, okay.
So this is for the clerk's department. So this is Jessica, Marina, and myself to be able to do these ceremonies.
Okay, so that's where the difference.
Your microphone has gone off.
I'm sorry. So that was that was just kind of the change that I remember that we had something, but I wasn't sure if that's what made the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yes. And there is no real cost because we do it during working hours. So there's no real cost to it at all for us. It's actually money that we will be taking in for revenue. Welcome.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson.
I think you just answered my question. It's only during office hours, not weekends, and not in the chambers, right?
So it will be in the chambers, but not on weekends, no.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Those in favor? There being none opposed, that motion is carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next report is with regard to the 2022 Brighton Municipal Election Accessibility Plan. Madam Clerk, we've read this report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
I do not.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council received the 2022 Brighton Municipal Election Accessibility Plan for information. Is there any discussion? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, we will have an accommodation in our procedurals, bylaw or procedures for the election itself. But this is not for that. But yes, we will most definitely. We have it written in there that we will be, we can go to people's homes if they need us to, if they don't have an apparatus to do that and they can't get out to see us, we can take an apparatus with us to them. No.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We move on to a report with regard to sidewalk curb gutter repairs extension contract. Mr. Parkinson, we've read this report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
Through Mr. Mayor to Council, I'd just like to highlight that this contractor has provided very good service over the last 2 terms, and they're holding to their 2020 prices with actually reducing the tack plate price by $10 a linear meter. So I think it's a very good value, especially given the fuel prices, they've been the last 2 weeks.
Indeed. Any questions from, oh, sorry, I'll read the motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, second by Councillor LeBlanc. The council authorized staff to extend contract PW 2020-03 sidewalk curb gutter repair to include the 2022 proposed repairs to Neptune Security Services Incorporated in the amount of $305,000, inclusive of the expense portion of the HST. Questions from members of council? Councillor Rowley.
I'm glad to see that we're keeping up on our repairs. If I could ask Mr. Parkinson, are we getting close to being kind of caught up, having so many years that we were kind of behind the 8 ball on this? Are we getting close to having a lot of our sidewalks caught up with repairs and necessary changes?
Director? Through Mr. Mayor to council. Yes, we are. So in 2019 and 2020, we developed a plan to get accessibility compliant by 2025, and the current funding models get us there at the end of next year. And then we can move into enhancements, connecting links, and then wider sections, that sort of thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. Good work to your team. I think it's starting to show indeed. Councillor Bateman.
Just a general question. I was just going to ask, if it already hasn't been published, is it possible to get a list of the sidewalks that you're going to target this year? Because I'm sure I get a lot of questions on what sidewalks, and I'd rather just be able to direct them to the website. If you have it up there, I apologize. But
Director? Through the mayor to council. No, we don't have that produced yet, but it will be, and we can publish that on the website so that people can go to find it. And we're going to try to do a little better job on giving people heads up on when we're going to be doing sections near their property and specifically with their entrances, just so that they have a little better notice and they can plan a little better for it.
When you have that information, would you please share it with members of council and the communications team so we can push that information out to the public? Councillor Anderson?
Good, these questions are getting asked ahead of me, so it makes it easy. But I was just going to ask, I've been asked a number of times a while ago about Smithfield sort of has had some attention, but it's still behind, and I hope that'll be on the list for this year as well.
Director?
Through the mayor to council. I don't know if there's any left to do in Smithfield. There might be 2 tack plates on either end of that section. And then there's a little drainage work we have to do next to the mailboxes by the new sidewalk we put in for the school to try to get the water off of that section of sidewalk. But I think that's all I recall for that.
I think that's primarily it, but initially there was a lot of chalk marks on the sidewalks. Those chalk marks are gone now, so it looks like there wasn't much, but there is, you may have to, someone may have to walk the walk again, and because it was a couple of years ago they did that. So anyhow, you mentioned the ones that are priorities, that's correct. So hopefully that'll be on the list for this year.
Yes, and any trip hazards will be identified and replaced or shaved as needed as well, if there are any of those.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you both. Anything else? Councillor LeBlanc?
Rich, Mayor, for the Director of Public Works, I have to agree with you. A lot of the residents have complimented how well the sidewalk crew has been working. I've heard it when I've been walking them or at the gym or somewhere else that they're using them. I did look at your drawing for your thing for your update for 2022 and 2023. And 2023 is only, it looks like it's 25 or 30 meters long. It's very small that you're going to be doing that year. If you end up by being over budget, is there any way you can catch up and getting it done? Because it's only like 25 meters from your drawing that you presented.
Director?
Through the mayor, I'm not sure the exact drawing the councilor is referencing, but there was a plan circulated to the accessibility committee that outlined the plan. And those areas aren't 100%. That was the best information we had at that time. So the list this year might not reflect what that map illustrated. That's a couple of years old now, but it'll be updated and then we'll be able to circulate that information to everybody.
Okay, thank you, because I was wondering why one year we were only doing 25 meters, but if it's adjusted, that's, thank you.
Thank you both. Anything further? All those in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And engineering design for Harbour, Wallace, and Marina. Director Parkinson, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir?
No, at this time.
I have a motion moved, thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council award the Harbour Street, Wallace Street, Marina Drive engineering design contract to Jewel Engineering Limited in the amount of $360,106.25, inclusive of 15% contingency and expense portion of the HST. Is there any discussion? Deputy Mayor? Director?
That'll depend on design timelines, if we can get it done in preparation for budget this year, later in the fall, or I guess early 2023 with the new council.
Thank you, Councillor Bateman.
A similar question. I just wanted clarification. So this is just for the design, so they can't expect, we won't be surfacing those roads until next spring or summer, correct?
It's tough to say at this point because it's a complex design. It's not like our typical. There's a lot of stormwater issues, and there's also a multi-use path that we want to incorporate into the design to link Prince Edward Street to Presqu'île Parkway and Ontario Street, because that's kind of a pedestrian connecting link, and this is part of the whole trails movement that we're trying to support. So it's going to be a complex design, so it might take a little longer to satisfy all the needs and to get that done. So it might not be done this year to get into work for next year.
Follow up?
Yeah, just a follow-up. It's just more of a comment, because I think we've all had people talk to us about, we've heard Wallace and Marina, and I know they're anxious to get them done. But for anybody that lives on Harbour or drives on a routine basis, and this is the season for potholes, and they just keep opening up. So I would assume that there's going to be extensive, we're not going to be resurfacing it, but it's going to take some tender loving care to make it a little less rough. I guess it's the only way I can put it.
Thank you for that. I wish Harbour Street was the only street we'd have to do that with. Councillor Rowley?
No, my question was answered. Thank you.
Councillor Anderson.
Preston, are sidewalks part of this work that's being done, this engineering?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
So
It'll be a multi-use path. I'm going to guess something 2 to 3 meters wide.
so we can get that resolved down there with the, okay, perfect.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Right, thank you, everyone. That takes us to notice of motions and motions, of which we have none. There's nothing listed under unfinished business, which brings us to bylaws. Our first bylaw is the 2022 budget. With a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that council gives a bylaw. It's first, second, and third reading, and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to adopt the estimates for general purposes for the corporation of the municipality of Brighton for the year 2022. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Next is a bylaw for the purchase or sale of land. It's moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council gives a bylaw. It's first, second, and third reading, and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement of purchase and sale of land, Block 21, Plan 39M, 872, east side of County Road 30. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Next bylaw is a contract agreement with Defoe Roofing, moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Rowley. The council gives a bylaw. It's first, second, and third reading, and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement between the corporation of the municipality of Brighton and Defoe Roofing for the replacement of membrane flat roof at King Edward Park Community Center Arena. Is there any discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion is carried. Which brings us to reports of advisory committees of council, reports, minutes, and council reports. The first being the Trails and Bike Path Advisory Committee minutes, December 8th, 2021, with a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council receives the December 8th, 2021 Trails and Bike Path Advisory Committee minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And the Brighton Digital Archives Committee minutes, moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council receives the January 25th, 2022 Brighton Digital Archives Committee minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And the Rural Advisory Committee minutes, moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson. The council received the October 28th Rural Advisory Committee meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm looking on the first page under delegations. RAC resolution number 2021-13 regarding that the advisory committee recommend to council to refer waterfront public access routes for review by the Trails and Bike Path Advisory Committee. Do we know if they've had that conversation, or will they be considering those?
Councillor Tadman.
This is the first, and I don't know if Councillor LeBlanc knew of it, probably because he was on rural, but it's the first I've heard of it. Certainly we'll consider it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. That takes us to reports and minutes of statutory committees, boards, and external agencies. The first being the Police Services Board, with a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council received the November 26, 2021 Police Services Board meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Anderson.
Was there any discussion lately about the calming, the speed calming, how that's coming? That process that we're working on?
That process is being developed, I think, through our Public Works Department as a motion of council, but it did come up at the Police Services Board meeting of last week, just with a comment from the inspector asking that the director be in touch with the inspector so that they can have a liaison and discussions over that. Did you want to make any comment, Director?
Through the mayor, yeah, we're working with the bylaw department to come up with that larger scope of plan. And yes, we'd like to incorporate the OPP into our traffic studies that we do for developments, because they would add an important element that's probably been missed for a little while.
And you now have that connection with the inspector.
That's correct.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson?
Not to put any pressure on anybody. We're getting to that time of year when the ice and snow will be gone, and we even, in the good weather of yesterday, I noticed a lot of people are stepping on it a little more now that other than the potholes are slowing them down. But I think we need to, but that report's got to come pretty quick and see what we can do to get going on it. I know you know that. I'm not putting anything on you.
But just to be clear to council, the only thing approved in the budget was our speed radar signs for 2022, which we've ordered. They should be here shortly. So we'll start deploying them. Continuous data capturing through the Black Cat speed monitoring will help build and identify problems in different areas. Perhaps I misunderstood, but I thought council wanted a larger scope to study all of urban Brighton and potentially some rural intersections on how best to move forward in cooperation with how the secondary plan is going to guide the municipality as well. So I thought we were going to develop a scope to try to come up with an estimated cost and then to see if it could be funded to provide that larger all over scope rather than just these piecemeal intersections.
That was also my understanding.
Okay.
And that'll bring us into what discussion, some other discussion we're going to have tonight on one particular street. So okay.
Let's have that discussion when that corresponds.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to ask if there's any further questions on the Police Services Board meeting minutes of November 26th, 2021. Councillor Bateman.
Just a quick question for yourself, and I think you said on that as well, Deputy Mayor. Do they indicate the police whether they get a lot of complaints about speeding? I know we see them all on social media, but do they have it set up, or do they encourage people to phone and say there's excessive speeding on our street instead of just being reported through social media or whatever other means? Like, is there a means for the public to report that?
Yeah, there is, and it's the toll-free number, the non-emergency line, which is 1-888-310-11 something, 72? No. 310-1122. Deputy Mayor? Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, any complaints with regard to that comment, please send them straight to the Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
That number, Mr. Mayor, is 1-888-310-1122.
1122. 1-888-310-1122. That's the non-emergency line, and anyone may call that with regard to traffic concerns in the municipality of Brighton. And I would encourage people to, because squeaky wheel gets the oil for your street, quite frankly. Councillor Bateman.
My follow-up, I guess, do they indicate, do they get a lot of calls, or they're just, those calls just aren't getting through? Like,
We don't get a report on call volumes through the, well, I guess we had a bit of a report for 911, but we don't get a report for the non-emergency line. Yeah, you bet. Anything else? Councillor Rowley?
Thank you, Mayor. Under point 9 of the meeting, the roundtable, I was pleased to see that there is notice regarding some of the flags flying, profane messaging. Is that something when we review our sign bylaw that we should consider as well?
We can, but I would caution everyone that it would likely get struck down in a court. And that certainly was the message we received from the inspector, which was there's nothing illegal about the signs. Yes, they're not appropriate, they're profane, and they're kind of ugly, but everyone has a right to their opinion and to express that by waving that flag if they want to. I certainly have my feelings on those flags, and it's not positive. It's not an appropriate way of protesting, in my particular opinion.
I've had several people reach out with, that's right, and some are more easily offended than others, and we kind of have to grow a bit of thick skin. I understand that, but when I think of all of the signs that we do see and the young children that have to kind of, it's no way to kind of grow up, I don't think. My second question is 9.2. I know that there's going to be a new structure with the board. Reading this, just wondering, will we have representation on that board?
The intent is that every municipality with a policing contract will have representation on that board. That's precisely what we've been fighting for an expanded board, to ensure that every municipality in Northumberland County with a policing contract would have representation. The answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I should say the answer under the current formula is yes, keeping in mind there's a provincial election in June and we don't know what happens after that.
Right.
Because
that's kind of what I'm reading between the lines here. It looks a little bit more gray than I was hoping. I was hoping it was.
No, as of late last year, we received notice that a new board would have full representation across the county. This has taken 2 governments to get here. So hopefully, even if there is a change in government, that the new minister would carry on, understanding there's been a ton of public consultation with police services boards across the province. Yeah, you're welcome. Anything further? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor LeBlanc.
I feel unwanted. No, just one, just two points. One, last night, I had a couple of OPP officers on duty at my house. They were there for a reason, because they're getting married.
It's really none of our business.
But anyway, we talked about the traffic studies.
Yeah.
And one of the key points that they heard was Raglan Street, Raglan Street, Raglan Street. and they're trying to do it. They're trying to do something because there has been restructuring and they're getting something for policing that's coming from the board. So they did tell me that. The other one, when the Director of Public Works talked about an inclusive plan, I thought that Gosport was a health and safety issue. It was something that would be done with the bylaw officer and stuff that would be directed and
I
done.
believe Baldwin Street is being conducted separately from that overall study,
Okay, thank you.
correct?
Yes, I believe that's a separate motion.
It was a
It's not
separate
on our
motion.
to-do list, yes.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Well, yeah, go ahead.
On that note regarding the traffic calming, if we or members of the public have concerns about certain intersections, should we just forward all of that to the director so they can be included? I know my corner is really bad.
Director, how would you like to capture that information?
I'd like to hold a public information session, invite the public, gather all the data, and then work through that data with the OPP to decipher, fact from fiction and what is appearance and what is actual, to come up with that for the final plan. But I'd like to hold at least one public information session that, all members of the public would be welcome to come and speak their mind on what draws their attention or what they see. Because they're obviously out there living it every day where I'm not, or the OPP aren't for that matter. So
Okay, thank you.
I think
Thank you.
that'd be the best way to go.
Thank you for that. And may I suggest that when you do that, leave a time open for the receiving of information after that meeting as well, so that people have lots of opportunity. Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. And our library board meeting minutes, moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council received the Brighton Public Library Board, January 26, 2022 meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried. That brings us to correspondence, direction items, endorsements, communications, and petitions, with the first from Mr. Kerr of Alice Street, moved by, is that Councillor Rowley? It is. Second by Councillor LeBlanc, that council supports Craig Kerr's correspondence regarding safety issues on Alice Street. Questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Bateman?
Not a question about the correspondence, because I've seen that issue myself. More a question around, like, I know that most of, if not all, our bylaws are complaint driven. For the parking violations, I know it's the last time it centered around partly not just the speed, because we have speeding on all streets. It's parking on the sidewalks, I know has been a concern, not just there in other places. Does that take a complaint from the public, or if bylaw or whoever can they just issue tickets, or do you need a complaint form prior to for the part, that type of stuff?
So that you're talking about illegal parking?
Yeah, because you see it, and then it'll get more so in the summer because you have lawn cutting services or whatever the case may be. If there's no parking on the street, there's no parking on the street. But I've seen it, I'm sure we all have, where they park on the sidewalk. So does that take somebody to fill in a complaint form to have it resolved real time, or?
Director Walsh, were you able to hear that question?
Yes, Mayor to Council, thank you. Normally for parking infractions such as that, there would be, if parking officials able to observe the infraction, a ticket would be laid immediately.
You were a bit muffled, Director. I wonder if you could try again.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I'll just speak a little bit louder. I think it's muffled at my end as well, so I think maybe it's a technology thing. But I'm just saying that in the event that the bylaw enforcement officer or the commissioners, as the case may be, is present at the time of observing a parking infraction, that parking infraction would be laid at that time. So no, we don't need a complaint form to lay a ticket for parking infraction.
People may complain if they wish.
Yes, definitely put in a complaint form so that will sensitize staff's need to be certain places at certain times.
Councillor Cadman.
Thank you, Mayor. So this to Mr. Walsh too, then on a daily basis, would our officer go around and check those kind of things, especially in the winter time when we don't necessarily have the sidewalks plowed and things like that, but in the summer when the grass cutting, because I can't think of any time that I haven't noticed it, especially on Harbour Street. And we do have a young lady in a wheelchair who the person that helps her has to go out on the road in traffic, and there's another gentleman that rides his wheelchair there. So it's a safety issue. So does our bylaw officer go around and check those areas? Or should we complain about it first and then, or the citizens?
Director Walsh?
The mayor to council, I would always encourage that if someone has a concern, particularly a safety concern, to enter a complaint to the form that's provided online. And a call is also acceptable, just to alert staff immediately, and if available, can go to the site immediately and address the situation. Particularly, like I say, a public health and safety issue, that's always a priority.
So, but the bylaw enforcement officer does proactive parking enforcement. That is true, is that not?
That's correct. There are regular viewing of parking areas, particularly known problem parking areas, and paying tickets accordingly.
Thank you, Director. But a complaint would be appropriate if people are seeing it all the time. Go ahead, Councillor Tadman, as a follow-up.
So concerning this, the whole Ellis Street, which we've had before us before, so has there been some kind of fines levied towards those who are breaking the bylaw?
Are you able to speak specifically to Alice Street, Director?
I'm aware, Mayor, that we've had past complaints as well, and our bylaw enforcement officer has followed up through inspections of the site to assess the difficulties of the problems being presented by the parking of vehicles with trailers in particular, and specifically dealing with lawn cutting contractors doing yards in the area. So we do have a history here, it sounds like, whether or not there's actual infractions applied or fines applied through ticketing, I would have to go back and see what our books say on that. But I know our bylaw enforcement officer has been active in that area.
Thank you for that. Councillor Anderson.
To get back to, we're supporting Mr. Kerr's letter. What does that mean?
Well, I was going to ask that as well. It's a good question.
Well, I've got some questions, but I first of all, I want to know what that means.
You going to answer that question?
I'll give it a try.
Go.
Since I've been on council here, just my first year on council, Alice Street came up since it was constructed, that some of the signs were never put back for truck use and for trucks to use it, and no parking signs that after it was constructed and built won't put back. It was brought up in front of this council to ask the signs be put back. Last year, again, it was brought up with this letter that the signs and some of the speeding things be addressed. I think Mr. Preston said at the time that some of those signs weren't legal or couldn't be put there. I don't know how it was said, but the thing is, it's been an issue for 3 years. So for 3 years, this council has done that. We've known it's a problem. And this is the second letter this gentleman has wrote. And it was brought up my first term of council on the speeding after the construction, and signs weren't put back and still haven't been put back from the original construction date when the street was rebuilt. So those issues and the no parking signs should have been put back. They haven't been. So that's why I'm supporting it, to do that, because it should be addressed by now. Because this is the third year we're bringing it up in front of council.
So, Director Perkins.
Through the mayor to council. Yes, so that letter came in September 22nd, I believe. Staff, Alan McGee put a report together November 15th to officially lower the speed limit on Alice Street to 40. That was approved by council. Frost came, So we didn't get the signs in because each sign has to be hydrovac due to the underground utilities in that location. We can't just drag posts, everything's too close. So as soon as spring comes, he'll be able to get those signs in for speeding and no parking. And also he has the no truck bylaw prepared to update our roads with no trucks are permitted. That'll be coming to the next council meeting, but that bylaw is already drafted and I think the report is done as well. So that'll be the next council meeting that the no truck bylaw is put into force so that it can be, charges can be laid or at least enforcement could be in place for that.
And that will be signed as well on Alice Street?
It already is on the north end where the trucks would typically enter. Maybe that section in front of the municipal hall and the fire station can't be no trucks, given it's got ambulances and trucks on it all the time. But yeah, the signage will be installed accordingly for that as well.
Regardless, I would assume that emergency vehicles would be exempt from that kind of bylaw. So, Councillor Anderson, as a follow-up.
Mr. Kerr also, well, I'm glad you're touching on things that Mr. Kerr mentioned, but also he mentioned about school buses. Mr. Kerr wanted a traffic study done, and we didn't go that route. I don't think we did. I know we didn't. But school buses, and that was also mentioned. So there's trucks, buses, fast-moving cars, and no signage. And the signage you mentioned that we did that, the council said, let's go with the signage, let's go with this. And after the meeting, I thought it was going to be done, and I guess time passes rather quickly and it didn't get done. So by supporting Mr. Kerr and supporting that whole area, I think next time we talk about it, it'll all be in place, I presume.
Well, one hopes that the next time we're talking about it will be during a discussion about a bylaw for no truck traffic, and we'll already have, we'll see the signs going up as soon as the frost is out of the ground, or
no, I
realize as possible. Right?
I realize it's not the time here to be sticking signs there, but and then the enforcement will be there's a lot of police traffic going up that road too, so I know they're on a mission, but
Emergency vehicles would be exempt from those kinds of.
if we can get some of the traffic off of that road, that would help, and that would be the trucks and the buses. And I don't know, can you get buses off of that street? Mr. Kerr made a mention that there's no children on that street or no one getting picked up.
There are not, well, I don't know if there are children or not children on that street. I don't think any children on that street would be bused.
No,
anyway,
exactly.
Unless they go to a Catholic school.
But I don't know if we have any say on a bus using that route.
Let's keep in mind, we are talking about a public roadway. So we have to, we have to balance these things accordingly.
Okay.
Fairly and accordingly. Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Would it be appropriate to request that staff maybe reach out to Mr. Kerr to explain to him that this will be looked after in the spring, or as soon as the weather is good for planting signs?
By supporting the motion, I believe we send a letter of informing the correspondent that we have supported the letter. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? So Mr. Kerr will be informed that we're supporting the correspondence, but that would be all it says. It wouldn't. So it just says what the motion, that we've supported the motion to, But I wonder, Director, if your team could reach out to Mr. Kerr and just talk about what we've spoken about tonight in terms of where things are at and when things will happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So I just wanted to note that in Mr. Kerr's letter, he talks about volume of traffic and excess speeds, which are two things we can't control. We can put up signs, but we can't control what people do. And I just find we have to be careful, because every time someone makes a complaint, we make a change on that street, and we're getting to this issue where we have all these different rules on different streets, and now we want to ban buses from that street. Well, then it'll be the next street and the next street, and I just think we have to be careful, that's all. And I think this is a bigger traffic issue. We've talked about this before in all of the municipality. As we're growing, we're making these little changes here and there, and we have to be careful. I don't want to see us making any more changes until there is a bigger traffic study so that we're changing things consistently and that things make sense. And sometimes it's like we receive a complaint, so we quickly make a change to appease that. And because it is obviously there are issues here, right? We understand that we want to change it, but so anyway, that's my comment. I just want us to be careful about how we make these changes and how quickly we make them. And instead we look at the municipality as a whole as we're growing, what needs to change. Maybe we need some one-way streets. Maybe we need to change the flow of traffic. Maybe, you know, I don't know, but I think there's a bigger picture here.
Thank you for that. And I think we're going to look forward to the traffic flow, traffic calming study, whatever we're calling that, for the greater municipality. I think we're all looking forward to that. Councillor Bateman.
Most of what I was going to ask or say was just covered, because I'm in agreement, because we've already been talking about a bigger traffic study. And I'm not saying that speeding isn't an issue on that street, but it's an issue on many of the streets that we've all heard. So I'd rather wait for that study so we don't piecemeal things like the deputy mayor just said. The only other comment I had is, what signs are missing on Alice Street? Because I know there is one no truck sign, but we all know that there's not a bylaw to enforce that. The bylaw never would be there, but the no parking signs are currently in place. So is it the speed signs that are currently missing?
Signs weren't, the speed signs were not missing when it was a 50 because it's under the Highway Traffic Act, it's a 50 in urban. But now that it's a 40, we can put up 40 signs and it can be enforced, so.
Because I know the parking on the sidewalks is an issue, but there's a number of no parking signs there currently. So no more would have to be added that I would see, because I drive that every day going to Spring Valley School and they're all in place. And I know that was a major concern the last time we got the letter from Mr. Kerr, because people that are walking their kids have to go around the car parked on the sidewalk.
Right.
So now it's just an enforcement issue. And that's the same on many streets when you drive around.
There's that word again. And just on the speeding, what the inspector said at the last Police Services Board meeting was speeding is an issue. We know that to be true. Enforcement is the answer to the speeding problem. Lowering speed limits tends to make speeding issues worse. So we have to be careful how we roll all of this out. And that's again why I think we're all looking forward to a traffic calming study through the greater municipality. Councillor Blanc, you did have your hand up at one point. Are you good?
No, yes, I'm good.
Okay.
I concur with the mayor, the deputy mayor. That's why when I put the motion in for a secondary plan that had to do with all traffic and look at everything flowed and everything, that was taken on by the Director of Public Works, and I withdrew that motion. So that's why we funded that this year for a secondary plan to look at all that, how we're going to flow and how we're going to have traffic.
Thank you. Anything further? Go ahead, Councillor Bateman.
Just one follow-up. The deputy mayor mentioned it, like in the bigger traffic study, we may have to look at one-way streets. Is that something that you would possibly look at? Because we've had this conversation. I know one that I can speak of in mind that I'm no traffic expert, but I think some people would be in favor of it, like that right at that corner of Elizabeth and Prince Edward, where you're halfway out.
Park Street?
Yeah, so I didn't know if it was something you would be looking at, not just speed and high volume, but possible
Traffic
one-way
flow.
streets to calm that.
Through the mayor to council, I think that's a recommendation we take from the OPP. I don't know if it's something we'd initiate, because when you implement one-ways, you change the dynamics of traffic on several other streets that feed that street. So can compound problems in other areas of speed and traffic where there's already concern. So anything like that, we'd look for a recommendation from the OPP to implement something like that.
Thank you both for that. Moving further. All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Brings us to the Alnwick Haldeman resolution with regard to the Year of the Garden. It's moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council receive or support proclamation from Alnwick Haldeman to proclaim June 18th, 2022 as Garden Day. Councillor LeBlanc, this is your motion. Would you like to receive or support? You okay with that, Councillor Rowley? Is there any discussion from members of council? Councillor Tadman.
I think it was in the first year of this term that Deputy Mayor and I, was it last time when we tried to get a community garden going? Maybe last term. And we weren't successful, but maybe we could think of doing something like that. I mean, it would just be so good for a lot of people, and maybe we could, I'm not suggesting staff do anything at this point. I'm just thinking if we could think of a place even, and I'm sure there is places, and it would be a great asset to this municipality. Way back when, and I think you were on council when, we weren't on council with the Rose Ellery, Councillor Rick, but they did Communities in Bloom at that time. So, I don't know how we'd get it out to the people that we are supporting something like this, because there is a lot of really good gardeners in this area, and it would be nice to, to promote it in some way. I don't know what your idea of that is or anybody else's.
I don't know either. I confess I am not a gardener, but that doesn't mean we can't promote the idea through the garden club even. And I don't see Mr. Hagerman on the line, but Mr. Castleman, I'm sure we could ask Mr. Hagerman to push this in for his team to push this information out through the community.
Certainly.
Thank you. So we can get that information out, and perhaps we can circle back to the Brighton Garden Club. Go ahead.
I did not know till the other day, but the Ukrainian people, that's the sunflower is a symbol of peace and other things. And it might be a great thing for us as a community to even, plant as many sunflower seeds as we could in support of the horrible situation those people are going through.
That's not a bad initiative, so we'll try to communicate that into the plan as well.
Will cost you very little for a package of sunflower seeds, and it would, could be our way of.
And they're the one thing I can grow.
You can eat them too.
Yes. Any further discussion, Councillor LeBlanc?
Just as an offer for his garden that they want to do for public gardening. I love to garden. I have my garden every year. I like my fresh vegetables every year. But if they wanted to, I have property in town that is fenced in, that's clean and watered at probably 4.5 acres. It's the backside of the plastic plant, which we never used, that I could clean up and they could plant there. Or I just bought another 60 acres just on the outside of town that they could go there and put it there. But they could be right by my plastic plates if they went in the back by the houses if they wanted there. 4 acres.
For a community garden?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you.
I didn't know that there was a wish for that. Just heard it tonight.
Me too.
Thank you.
It was brought up at the last term of council, but it didn't get very far. Councillor Rowley?
Thank you. I would suggest maybe someone reach out to the good folks at Evangel Pentecostal, because they did try the community garden initiative several years ago, and I'm not sure exactly how successful that was, but it takes a lot of work to get that done. But I know they did give it a try.
Go ahead.
And they did, and we were involved in that at the beginning, but the whole back part that they were going to put the garden in was like a wetland, and the tractor got so stuck they had to wait for it to dry out to even get the tractor out. So it's not the best place for it. So that kind of went on the wayside. But if we've got a place in town, it would be great.
Thank you. Anything further on the motion? All in favor? There being none opposed, that motion's carried. Takes us to FYI correspondence, with correspondence from the Lower Trent with regard to the program and service inventory. The motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that Council receive the Lower Trent report regarding program and service inventory as information. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion's carried. And the Northumberland County update, moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that Council receive the Northumberland County update, February 28th to March 11th, 2022 as information. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion's carried. That brings us to question period. Madam Clerk, are you aware of anyone joining us by electronic means for question period? Anyone in the public gallery wish to ask a question about an item on tonight's agenda? We have no in-camera session this evening, which brings us to our confirmatory bylaw with a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council gives a bylaw, it's for second and third reading and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the corporation of the municipality of Brighton council meeting held on March 7th, 2022. Is there any discussion? Councillor Bateman.
Sorry, Mayor, if I could, I should have done it during announcements, and I thought somebody would, because Ukraine was mentioned once, and I think it's good to get out of the public. And I know it's been on the municipal webpage, but I think it's good for the public listening or watch later. I do believe we're already flying the flag of Ukraine in a show of support for the Ukrainian people. So I think that's good that, important that the residents understand that. I don't know if you want to say anything to it or not.
No, thank you very much for that. I'm glad you mentioned it. I forgot to mention it as well. So I don't think anything more needs to be said. We are in fact flying the flag of the Ukraine outside of 35 Alice Street, and we'll, for as long as we're able to, given flag protocols and so on and so forth. Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank you. One thing I forgot that should have been an announcement, so I apologize, Mayor, is Councillor Bateman's wife, Crystal, just won the Commander's Award and Medal for all the work and everything she's done with COVID through the military and the base and helping the people through.
Yeah, congratulations to her. I know you didn't do it.
I had nothing to do with it.
But please take our congratulations back to her. That's great. Councillor Rowley,
Thank you.
you have an announcement as well?
I'm sorry?
I assume this isn't debate on a confirmatory bylaw, so you have an announcement as well?
But seeing how we're talking Ukraine, there are a couple of supporting fundraisers and initiatives going on in Brighton as well. I know if you reach out to Gina Boyd or the Chamber of Commerce, and as well Bobby at the Birdhouse has also, where there's being dollars collected that will be matched. I'm not sure if it's provincially or federally as well. So every buck that you go in doubles up when it's we should all look into that kind of stuff. It's a sad time.
It's a frightening time. Anything further from members of council? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, everyone. With that, we have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that the March 7th, 2022 council meeting adjourn at 7:47 p.m. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Being none opposed, that motion's carried.